And away we go.
Randy. Oh wait, Randy, where's the? Oh, Randy, I'm sorry. Stop, Randy. I didn't share the stuff with you.
Oh,
Oh my god.
that's right.
I
You know what?
was like,
I went to share it and it wasn't shared at the time, but you were in the middle of something, so I was like, I'll get it in a second. And of course, I did not. All right, let's try that again.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing, pre-cold villains on the mind, got you reeling. 5-star rated from the floor to the ceiling. If you catch a 1-star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ on the ones and twos, by the name Beelzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast a mallow or two, and prepare to hear the legend of the straight chillin' crew.
What up, nerds, and welcome to another corporate episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name's Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 388, recorded on Monday, September 12th, 2022. Tonight, we're talking about the winner of the September poll, which was Hell House LLC. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got our boy Randu. How do?
So plump, so right.
Hello, friend. Welcome to the show. I like to welcome you.
We are welcomed by one another.
Yeah. Like you don't get enough welcome around here, Bob. I'm here to correct that.
Thank you.
know?
I appreciate it. Will you join me in welcoming our other co-host,
Fuck
Fair
no.
Maiden Soju, all the way from South Korea?
Oh, what up? It's your boy Soju Stains LLC. You heard that right. I am now incorporated. What do you think
Limit
about
that liability,
boy?
buddy.
No,
Ooh, so limited.
incorporated.
That liability's so
Get the
limited.
juice now.
Get the juice now.
Get it now. Get it right now.
What can I
This
sell
movie-
you? What will you buy for me? I'll give you anything.
Juice.
The juice. Get it now.
You boys want to team up with the juice company and sell some soju juice?
Soul juice.
Juicy
Straight
juice stains.
chillin' soju juice.
Mott's straight chilling soju juice.
This movie
Ocean
is
spray soju juice.
Damn.
this movie is the reason we started Straight Chilling Podcast LLC, as a matter of fact, because motherfuckers just be dying while they're listening to us. We got to cover our asses, you know.
Mhm.
You know, yeah. If somebody dies while listening to this podcast, we gotta be covered.
Gotta cover our
We-
asses.
We need some protection out there.
Always
You
use
know.
protection.
This limited liability intercourse. That's what we're all about here.
Oh my
Straight
god.
Stop. Okay.
Anyway.
Okay.
That's enough.
Set himself up over there.
That's enough talking.
This is the most disjointed banter we've ever done.
Probably.
Let's go.
Let's talk about some housekeeping. Another reminder, we do have our October poll pick currently posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote in the October poll. The poll is
What is it?
Halloween Extravaganza.
Pumpkins,
And,
pumpkins.
Oh my
all-
god. It's that
all the
time.
pumpkins.
Yep. Give me all the pumpkins. I don't even care.
We're doing something different for this month's poll. Soju, Randy, and myself all individually chose triple features with a theme, and you guys are voting on theme alone, and whichever one wins, then you will find out what those three movies we're going to be talking about are. The three themes are Psycho Killer Qu'est-ce que c'est, They Dwell Within, and Eat the Rich.
Oh, whoa, Bob. How are those numbers looking heading into October soon?
Whoa. They Dwell Within is still winning. Eat the
Okay.
Rich is gaining them some steam.
Okay.
Psycho Killer Keskase is in third place.
All right.
You don't know what death is.
Cool. Is it a tight race this time? Got a little competitive, huh?
Yeah, it's not super tight, but there's still plenty of time to get your votes in, and there's a lot of people left to vote. It could still go any which way.
Well, we're still waiting for it to get super tight.
Yeah, it's a wider gap than we
cast
prefer.
We
don't mind a wide gap, but it's a little wider than we prefer.
We're just burning
Michael
this episode
Scott
down.
is bursting through my wall to say that's what she said.
In other Patreon news, we dropped a brand new mini cast last Friday. Juice was talking about a movie that just hit Shudder called Glorious, which is indeed about a spooky glory hole.
Did you watch it, Bob?
And yes, I did watch that movie.
It's tough to believe people on first blush that is what the movie Glorious is about. It's like, okay, yeah, but what is it really about?
Nope, that's what it's about. I like that glory hole artwork.
I like that glory hole. Cut it right there. Copy paste. We're just gonna
5-star glory hole.
I like that
gets
glory
a
hole.
5-star.
I like that glory hole.
Bob, we just got you. Now it's copy
We're
paste.
all ruined. Oh God.
Thank God we limited our liability.
Thank God we're incorporated.
We're dropping a mini cast every single Friday throughout the month of September and October. So you're getting double the dose of straight chilling every single week. All these mini casts are dropped over on our Patreon website. And this Friday, we got a brand new one. Justin, you're talking about a show on Apple Plus, I think. It's called Severance.
Whoa, I'd just be talking.
Always talking.
Yeah, that is apparent.
Yes. Yes, this is another brand new weekly mini cast. Whoa, spooky season's wonderful, isn't it? This is on Apple streaming service. What is it? Apple Play or whatever. I got it free with my phone. Plus,
Apple Plus,
Apple Play
plus or minus.
It was really cool. It's got it's super spooky, but it's got kind of technology based stuff going on. Kind of reminds me of like Black Mirror-esque type of things, except it's a whole season of a show. It's really well done. The story that they tell, the technology that they kind of weave in, it poses some really interesting ideas and questions about who we are as people and what we can kind of tolerate and how far we can kind of push ourselves. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really, really well done. At this point,
save some of the mystery, guys.
Well, I was gonna say at this point you could probably find it streaming elsewhere, but
I don't know. I think that's an original to Apple, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying,
steal it.
That's what
style. Thank God we limited our liability.
I didn't want to say it outright, but Randy pushed me to it. But yeah, anyway,
left you no choice.
I know, Randy, take
really put the thumb screws
okay. On. So anyway,
when I say stream, what I mean is steal.
So yeah, check that out.
Tight. We got something new that just dropped on our YouTube website. We got an interview that Juice filmed back at Spooky Empire, where Corey Taylor was spinning some wild ass yarns.
Yeah,
I
personally sat down with Corey Taylor. We're best friends now. We hung out all weekend and just had a really tight, close interview.
Just wore masks.
I grew up really always loving Corey the Toolman Taylor. He's my favorite.
So yeah, this is an interview that we saw at Spooky Empire, and it was with Corey Taylor, the lead singer of Slipknot and Stone Sour. He was talking about horror movies, his preferences, his thoughts on the genre, and some just I don't know, making horror films and stuff like that. He talks about recording in like a haunted studio at one point. He talks about his relationship with his bandmates, one of them that passed away. He talks about his relationship with Chester Bennington, who was the lead singer of Linkin Park, who died. So yeah, he talks about some pretty interesting stuff. So if you're interested in that, check it out at youtube.com/straight chilling podcast.
Nice. The last bit of good news we're going to share for housekeeping is we're bringing back our Chilloween party.
Whoa, second
Yes.
annual.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
So this is
Deuce
something we did.
annual.
We did for the first time last year. This is a Patreon exclusive thing where we pretty much we get everybody together on the interwebs. We have a Zoom video hangout. And it's a bit of a costume party. People dress up and we vote on, our favorite costume of the night. We also play some horror trivia. And then we do a surprise screening of a movie and we all watch it and then, get like a group chat going while it's on. It's just sort of a cool place to hang out with some like-minded folks that listen to the show in a fairly like casual way. And that's going to be happening Friday, October 14th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So check that out, mark your calendars, and that's available to any level of patron. You don't have to take a specific level, just if, even at the $1, whatever, you'll be able to do that. Hang out with us.
What time is that Korean Standard Time, Bob?
That's like, it's going to be 8 a.m.,
It's like
right?
27 o'clock, something like that.
Or
7
10
a.m.
7? Okay. Close.
We've been
The
doing this
daylight
5
savings
years, yeah.
situation.
That's going to happen in November, luckily, so.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, Friday, October 14th at 9 Eastern Standard Time. Mark your calendars. That's all I got, gentlemen. Anything else you guys want to mention?
Oh, my house is clean. It was filthy, but now we're clean.
Tidy.
His house is clean.
All right, boys, let's get into the main event. We're talking Hell House LLC, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, do you have this box?
I got it right here. Boom, on the DVD.
Bob,
Oh,
do
shit.
you have this tiki mug?
No,
Dude,
not yet.
I did not. I was not aware that this had a director's cut.
Yeah,
That
it's got an
appears to be what you're
extra.
holding here.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's like an extra 4 or 5 minutes. So it's not a ton of stuff. But it's got a director's commentary on it with some deleted scenes, behind the scenes videos, and some cast auditions. So there's a few bonus features on this. I believe you can only get this on DVD. I don't think there's a Blu-ray out there.
Oh, God.
But it's fairly easy to find. So Hell House LLC, this is from 2015 with a runtime of 1 hour and 33 minutes. This was written and directed by Stephen Cognetti, stars Gore Abrams, Alice Belkey, Danny Bellini, a bunch of other folks. Plot synopsis brought to us by the back of the box is as follows.
Oh, shit.
5 years after an unexplained malfunction causes the death of 15 tour goers and staff on the opening night of a Halloween haunted house tour, a documentary crew travels back to the scene of the tragedy to find out what really happened. Gentlemen's, have we seen this movie before, and would we recommend people check it out? Rand, do kick us off.
Yes, I have. I've saw this movie for the first time, I don't know, maybe like 3-4 years ago, and it has easily become a go-to watch come spooky season for me. And it's interesting because it's not really one of those where I like necessarily make an attempt to watch it every Halloween. I just think about it, or somebody brings it up every Halloween. I'm like, hell yeah, I gotta watch that, and I always want to, and it never really lets me down. It is a pretty stalwart entry into found footage genre. We'll get into the good, the bad, the ugly, and all that stuff, but I would definitely recommend it if you are into the found footage genre, if you're into haunted houses, if you're looking for a good spooky season viewing. You could do a whole hell of a lot worse than this, so recommended.
Right on. Juice, what about you?
Yeah, so I had not seen this before, and I think for a year or two I confused this name with that documentary about that guy who made those ridiculous haunts, I think like out in California, where he would like pull
Oh,
people's teeth and
McCamey
shit.
Manor and all that shit.
Yeah.
Haunters is the name of that
Haunters,
documentary,
yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, there was a
yeah.
glut of haunting location horror movies all of a sudden. I think this was the first
Yeah.
one I saw, or I was aware of.
Yeah, I think so, because Haunt definitely came out a couple years after this.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
think Extremity came out a little bit before this, but anyway, sorry.
okay.
Continue.
Oh no, yeah. So anyways, so this actually was the first time watch for me. And yeah, I liked it pretty good. It sets up spooky season pretty good. If if you don't like found footage, I think this might be a difficult watch because it's pretty gritty found footage, you know. It's some dark shots, a lot of movement and stuff like that would be my only knock or like non-recommended like thing for it, is it's very much like rooted in the found footage subgenre. So if you don't like that, then I don't think you'd like this movie. But otherwise, it was a great way to kind of get into the spooky season feelings, and it was pretty effective in what it was doing. So yeah, I would recommend. Bob, would you recommend Hell House LLC, Hell House Incorporated?
Hell yes, I would recommend that. I think this was my second time watching the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like really got me in the damn mood for Halloween. It got me in the Halloween spirit pretty hard watching it this week. We're coming up mid-September. It's I don't know, it's perfect time. The stars aligned and I was really vibing with this.
All right.
I'm not like a huge found footage guy. You might be like 50-50 on them, but this one really worked for me. It's got some really effective scares happening, and I just generally find like extreme haunts or like home haunts to be really fucking interesting. So I dig this. I recommend it, and it's on Shudder still, I think, with the sequels as well, so it's really easy to come across. So if you haven't seen it yet, I would say treat yourself. Check it out.
We got a winner.
We got a winner. Sounds like a pretty solid recommendation from the Straight Chilling crew. Let's drop that spoiler warning and get into the rest of the movie.
Spoiler warning.
All right, Bob, did you type up a plot synopsis?
I did. I got it. I'm
Hit me
a
with it.
professional.
Hit me with that
No,
plot synopsis.
Definitively, we are not.
One day, Bob, we will be.
I mean, we got the LLC. That's all I need.
One
We're
day,
semi-pro. We got the LLC.
now that we're incorporated.
We're in the minors, baby. Let's do this shit.
We're just an evil corporation. So the movie opens up on October 8th, 2009. Hell House LLC opens its doors to the public for its inaugural Halloween haunted tour, taking place in the small town of Abaddon in Rockland County, New York. The Hell House crew picked the location, the Abaddon, for their attraction because it was abandoned and a little bit fucking run down. The following morning, 15 tour goers and staff were confirmed dead. What happened was unclear. Authorities have only said that an unknown malfunction occurred on that night. 5 years later, a documentary crew led by producer Diane Graves investigates the tragedy and interviews people familiar with the case. They are eventually able to interview the only known survivor of the event, Sarah Havel, who gives them exclusive access to footage that was shot by the crew that night. The footage shows the crew arriving, setting up, experiencing strange goings-on in the house. Despite several concerns, Alex, the owner of the company, convinces everybody to stay for opening night. We see the tragedy unfold and get hints that maybe a satanic cult was involved. Sarah takes a break from the interview, says she will be at her hotel room to see if they need her. Diane and her cameraman break into the Abaddon at the suggestion of Sarah. Mitchell ends up finding some extremely urgent information on one of the tapes and calls Diane, but she lets it go to voicemail. They go to the second story of the Abaddon, and lo and behold, there is a room labeled 2C. They open the door and find Sarah inside. She attacks them along with several other ghostly hooded figures. It is then revealed that Mitchell uncovered footage of Sarah being beaten to death on opening night, meaning she has been dead the whole time.
Oh my
What?
god!
Oh, wow.
They Shyamalan'd us. They
Oh
Shyamalan'd
my
our asses.
god!
The door handle was red.
God.
I mean, how did we know? We should
The
have seen it coming the whole
handle's
time.
red.
God damn it. Yeah, man, this is a super low budget affair, and I think that obviously lends itself to being a found footage movie, but I think they did a really good job with what they had to work with. Like, several of these scenes got my ass good. Like, it creeped me the hell out, man. I don't know, did you guys find this movie to be as effective as I did?
I mean, yeah, I'm.
No,
You want to go, Juice?
Well, no, go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm a little bit of a mark for the found footage genre. I really find that format really immersive, and I think that that's like usually the strength of a good found footage movie. There's some outliers, of course. I would say that this one does a pretty good job of being immersive. It definitely has some rough edges, but I think that, like, for me, the setting and the sort of Halloweeniness of it all push me over the edge with this and make it really enjoyable for me. Like Rob, you mentioned, like, it put you in the spirit. Like that's the true utility of this movie. And so yeah, like, I think it's got its flaws, but I don't know, to me it's just kind of like perfect for that. It's perfect for its setting. It's a perfect use of its setting. I think some of the scares are legitimately good, and they do a good job of setting those things up, and the way people react to them, while sometimes a little bit off the wall, is fairly understandable, which is a big deal in found footage, especially. So yeah, I mean, I just think it's pretty good at what it's trying to be.
Yeah, I think the thing about this, like Bob's specific question, like, was it effective? I did find there were some good scares. You all know I'm a bit of a tension bish, as we say. So there was some good moments where they're really leading up to some stuff and they paid it off well. But one thing, and this isn't necessarily a negative, because I think it speaks in some way to how low budget this is and needing to go kind of found footage with it, which I think is a smart choice. But I personally never really fell into the story. And so a lot of the moments and beats, I was really more focused on, like, this is a really good, smart choice for people making a low budget film. You know, I was always in that realm of saying, like, wow, you know, they're really making a full length film out of this, and this is how they're doing. That's pretty smart, or that's
so like
clever.
You're like focused on the craft of it.
Yeah, I was more like, I couldn't fall into it. It really was just about, like, oh, they just moved a clown doll over here. Like, that's fucking smart, because you don't have to do anything, you know?
I vibe with that a little bit, Juice.
Yeah.
One of my critiques of the movie is that we don't get a whole lot of depth of the characters involved, so it's hard to really, like, identify with any of them. And I guess that sort of, like, does detract from the overall, like, investment as a watcher. And also, like, the found footageness of it, I think the movie does lend itself to that, especially it being so low budget. But specifically in the house, and maybe this was just an issue I was having, I couldn't, like, get any sort of spatial awareness because they were constantly moving room to room, and, like, the shaky cam, and I couldn't figure out, like, where we were at, like, in the house. Like, were we right by the front door, or were we on the second story, or, like, I found myself lost a lot of times.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Easy to do in this movie. And, like, I don't really have that problem, but I think that has a lot to do with how many times I have seen it at this point. And I don't remember feeling that way exactly, but it's easy to understand how you would get there. Because everything's blacked out. You don't get frames of reference from the outdoors. You know, even the different rooms are all run down. So unless you see the bar, or you see the staircase down to the basement, or you see, you know, certain landmarks you can place, but how they interconnect it took a couple of viewings, I guess, for me to really understand what that is. And I agree. Like the biggest drawback for this movie for me is like you guys said, like the story is pretty sparse and the depth of character really isn't there. It's just a very base story, which is actually, like, having seen the sequels, to me preferable for this, because I've seen the big swings they took in some of the sequels, and a lot of people like those sequels. I'm not big on the sequels for this movie. And I think it's one of those things where it's almost like a, not to compare it to John Carpenter's Halloween, but it's almost like that, where it has this, like, if you put too much into the story, then it just kind of like collapses under its own weight and stops. I like, the more you try and get invested in the story, the weaker the story starts to feel. So what I felt immersed in was the banter between characters, even though it took a few viewings for me to really understand who's who, what's each person's motivations. And I'm still not entirely sure what some of those things. They keep it pretty tight-lipped, and in terms of their true motivations, besides just making this haunted house. But if you kind of meet it that way, that kind of works for found footage to some extent, because if you're going for a feeling of reality, what you're not going to see is people bearing their souls to the camera all the time. You might, see, so, like, I don't know. It's kind of a double-edged sword, where it's both good and bad. It's bad from a narrative perspective, but it's good from a place setting and found footage, like, immersion standpoint. So that's that again, like, that same exact point. It's like, there were moments in this film where I was like, well, that's a bit of a cop out from a story standpoint, but I was like, I can completely understand why they did that. And actually, that's kind of smart, I guess, for what this film is trying to get away with. For instance, like when they do the glitchy cam, when the guy's trying to give his motivation or speech of why they need to stay, he talks to that guy, I think his name is Alex. He's trying to convince everybody to stay. People are freaking out, they don't feel like it's safe, and then he has it on camera. He has this one conversation with this guy, but they glitch out the actual conversation. They glitch out the actual reason why it's so important for them to all stay at this house. And so I was like, well, that's, I don't know. That definitely takes something away from the story, but it makes sense to me of why they would do that. So from a craft standpoint, I'm like, oh, that's clever, but also I'm kind of pissed off as a viewer, so
dude, after the shit that these people saw, like, there's no possible way I would have stayed for opening night. Right. There's no possible way.
No, I feel the same.
Moving around,
or even like, staying in that hotel, I would be like, I think we can get another room.
I think we can stop by a 7-Eleven or 7
Let's just sleep in the 7-Eleven.
Just sleep in the bathroom. They don't check those bathrooms.
Lock the door. Fall asleep in the urine. It's fine.
Yeah, no, like, that's the thing, is like, it really does kind of fall prey to its own conceit in that way. And you're right, you can see the seams of this thing. That's what's so interesting about it, is the sum of its parts, to me, are so much greater than its parts. But at the same time, like you watch this movie for its parts, like for its in, not necessarily the elements, but for each individual moment. Like, the moments are what work. Like, I like the little moments between characters where they're just like riffing on each other, or I like some of the little moments where, like, I don't know, where somebody just gets spooked, or somebody, like, or we get this, like, omniscient sort of like documentary of the documentary footage of people talking about it, who saw the events happen or whatever. Some of those parts are a little weaker because some of the actors are fairly weak in that, I would say. But overall, I don't know, like, it just kind of like somehow works itself into feeling like a lot more fun and enjoyable than it really, like, seems like it ought to, based on, like, analyzing any one piece of the puzzle.
You're almost just walking you really are just experiencing this house as if you were walking through it on opening night, in a lot of the scenes anyways. That fucking clown, man, is terrifying. It's like bleeding out of its eyes. It's huge and lumbering, and like whenever it's I forget the camera. Paul, I think Paul finds it like standing at the top of the stairs. And he looks
Yeah.
down the stairs and looks back at it, and its head is turned.
Oh my god.
Fucking
Yeah.
shit my
That's
pants.
a great scene.
Yeah.
The thing is, they do that twice, and it like again, it's
Yeah.
that same thing with Justin that Justin said. It's like it's annoying if you think about it because it's like, oh, you tried to pull the same trick on me twice,
Yeah.
and like I'm annoyed that it worked because try something else. But also, this is a incredibly low budget movie with very limited capabilities, so it's tough to begrudge them for doing variations on the same move.
Mhm.
So I don't know, like there's something scrappy about this movie, and I've used that term before for movies, and I think that I'm very appealed to that, to the idea of like, rogue filmmakers kind of doing their thing, hell or high water, blemishes and all are going on the screen, and they're going to have their premiere one way or the other. I really love that. And this movie definitely feels like that. It feels like you're watching the movie get made because of the way it is portrayed, just like this way, the setup of the story. Even though I don't love the story itself, it just sort of like, it just adds to that feeling of scrappiness of like, people just making it happen.
Yeah.
But if you start to analyze the story, man, it starts to fall apart. Like, let me ask you guys this. Juice as a first-time watcher and Bob as a second-time watcher, you said?
Yeah.
That whole scene where Tony is about to bail out and he's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Fuck you. And then Mac like walks him out to a field and has a little heart-to-heart discussion with him. And he's like, yeah, I can't leave. I'm not going to leave.
That's the scene I was specifically referencing.
Yeah.
Right. So like, did you feel like you understood what they were getting at with that? Like what the reason is that he was given?
No, because they glitch out.
Nah.
That's kind of my critique.
Right.
I mean, there's some guesses, like their money's invested, or maybe what's her name is pregnant or something. But no, I mean, they glitch out, and that was kind of like my critique of it.
Yeah. So like, I wasn't sure if that was the scene you're talking about or not, but like that to me, I had the same reaction where I was like it's left ambiguous and like to a fault, because I later found out, and Bob, you might have known this better than me because you apparently in either the cutting room floor or on the extended edition, they have an extra scene that better lays out what that whole dialogue is about, and it's financial is the reasons that they're like it's we find out through like, or I found out that the director has said on the record that, oh, it's a financial worries. They don't have any money. They're not liquid. They have to make this thing work or their company's dissolved.
Yeah.
And that's like, okay, fine. But like, there's no reason to hide that. Like, to me,
yeah,
that was, and also that's not a good reason for sticking it through a supernatural event. So like,
yeah, can't make money if you're dead, man.
It's like if somebody told me that, if like Max, like, look, man, we're gonna go under if this doesn't work. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I saw some shit move that doesn't have a person in it. I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and I'm upset because I'm not gonna get paid now. You don't have to pay me, but I'm not gonna fucking die for the company. I'm not,
or at least bring in a priest, burn some sage in that bitch, something.
Yeah, some holy water.
Like, yeah, at least like scrub the basement or something.
Yeah, or just like don't have people go down there.
Yeah.
Close it off.
And that was a little bit of the weakness too, is at the beginning of this movie they set up the end, it's we're past it, they're doing newsreels and talking to people. Well, and the thing is too, I was really paying attention, I caught it. I mean, they're not promising you necessarily anything. Almost everybody says, and it kind of started even like annoying me a little bit, we'll never know what happened in Hell House LLC. Like towards the beginning and even middles of the film, as they're discussing this movie, where the whole promise of the movie, the reason you're supposed to stick around, is to see what happens, is to get the experience of, what happened in that basement, and I like the intriguing idea of the first YouTube video where somebody's standing in line and they're waiting for it. And they're like, okay, there's actual people there. Not everybody died. People experience this. It's part of this kind of like town lore. And so I was like, that's cool. But they don't need to like shoot down their own movie constantly by saying like, we'll never know what happened. Like everybody says it constantly.
I think that they think they harp on it too much, but I don't think that's a bad thing for them to say, because what that does is it sets up for when what's her dick comes along, the girlfriend, whatever her name is,
Yeah.
she comes along and is getting interviewed, and it provides those tapes. It's like
Extra
everything that
footage,
happened is right
yeah.
here. So it's like, oh shit, okay, we are gonna get the answers, and this is how it's gonna happen. So like when they say that at the beginning, it's just amping up the mystery, and like it's setting it up like this is a true crime documentary, and then it breaks into like it's a developing story again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like
Mhm.
to me that works, but it also, in fairness, yes, there are too many people that say the line, you know.
But yeah,
And I
but
think
also
they do.
too. Oh, go ahead, Bob. Sorry.
I think they do give you enough breadcrumbs to like kind of piece together exactly what does happen, even if like through the footage that we are presented, we don't see everything perfectly clearly. I think they get into the backstory of this hotel a little bit, and apparently we find out that it is supposedly haunted for real. And the hotel owner, Andrew Tully, built the hotel and named it Abaddon because that's the name of the demon who guards the gateway to hell. And he was into like satanic cults and stuff. And there was a woman and her daughter that mysteriously vanished that were staying at the hotel. And we see like a little girl, that like a spooky ass little girl later on that I assume is that person. And the guy, Andrew Tully, apparently hung himself in the hotel too. And we see a couple people die from hanging. So like there's some spooky shit going on. And then at the very end, I thought this was like kind of a cool touch too. Where like I guess, you know, we're led to believe that one of the gates of hell is in this basement, and the demon Abaddon, like we can hear it like growling off screen, and like somebody or something pulls Sarah like out of view after she's been bludgeoned to death. And like I thought like there's enough like breadcrumbs to like piece it together, even if they like drive into your head like you'll never know what happened.
No,
I
and
think
that's
you
the
can
thing.
figure
It's like
it out though.
that's a tease for the rest of the movie, like,
Sure.
which
Yeah.
they might hit too hard. But I, I, I think Justin's right to say that it's they overplay that hand a little bit, but I do think it's effective in theory, and I think that it ultimately is effective. But it's like one of those things where it's like it shows its hand where it's like, oh, we'll never know. I guess we'll never know, and they say it so often that it becomes expected that you're going to find out some way or another.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Dude, that scare with Paul in his room when he wakes up and that girl's like just sitting on the
good
floor.
ass scare.
Oh my god, it's got me so good.
That was effective. It felt like watching your first kind of horror movies. I had this feeling like he just hides under the covers and it's still there every time. I don't know. There was something really just kind of innocent about that, or youthful about just like, I'm just gonna hide. Like
it's just
like it's still there. Yeah, I liked it. I don't know.
See, and that's the thing, is like this movie is simple, and its conceit and everything about it is very like is what it is, and it's like being like watching the Blair Witch Project for the first time again, where it's like you just kind of get what you get, and it feels immersive, and the people feel like not perfect but somewhat believable as people, and like you don't get to know them perfectly because it's found footage, not a movie that somebody's piecing together. No, like, you know, you get to kayfabe it a little bit better because you're not over encumbered with lore or whatever. If you want to go in that direction, if you want to find out about Andrew Tully, if you want to like listen to all that shit and keep it in your mind, great. But it really does not affect what is fun about the movie ultimately, which is the experience of having these little spooky encounters and then finding out like the extent of what spooky things happened in the big event. So I don't know.
I can't believe that they actually chained up that actress like with real chains in the basement after all the shit that they saw go down. Like, just don't chain her up.
Yeah, there's no need to actually lock her up.
You know,
there's like magicians handcuffs or whatever and shit where you can get yourself out. Like, I wouldn't agree to that.
Tie a loose rope, you know. She
like, I know that she doesn't know much about it, so like she has no like. I'm sure if she knew everything that happened, she wouldn't have done it theoretically. But even if she did, she would have been like able to advocate for herself a little bit. I don't know. That whole thing was like, there's little things like that that are just annoying, and I liked Hector and the piano.
That was tight.
That's the thing with our friend group too, is I don't think we have anybody who's like super skeptical. I feel like if we were all in a haunted mansion and we all saw the same shit, we would all be like, yep, let's get the fuck out of here.
We're
Dude,
gone.
yeah, like it doesn't matter if it's real. It doesn't matter if it's an
Yeah.
elaborate hoax. My ass is not finding out for real,
Yeah.
like in person.
Yeah.
We'll let the fucking Scooby-Doo fucking Mysteries Inc. go solve this one because my ass is out. I'm not gonna like tempt fate.
Now there's
my
a
beer.
company that's incorporated right there.
Yeah.
Scooby Dooing.
Now they
Mystery
launder
Inc.
about $1 million
Mystery
and $1 million
Yeah.
a year.
Let's start Mysterious Inc. and rival them, and then we'll go crack all these cases wide open.
We gotta
Dude,
find
we
a
could do it.
a talking mongoose or some shit.
As long as we got a sweet van.
It's always a crusty old white dude in a costume every time.
Can I be the stoned one who eats a lot, please? Thank you.
Yes,
I want no responsibility.
I want to be that person too, though. We can all just be
We're
shaggy.
just a
We could all just
stoner.
smoke weed and eat some food, dude.
We're not solving mysteries. We're just
Mysteries
all
Inc. It's
smoking
time
out.
for Mysteries Incorporated to have
I'm not
our
gonna-
third
I'm
annual
not-
meeting this week around a piping hot pizza pie.
And a huge GB.
Yeah.
I'm not investing
That's a-
much in this company. Sorry, guys.
What, Bob?
Sorry to say. They do some other smart shit in this movie that's like super low budget, but like really effective, where they have a hallway filled with strobe lights. And when they first set them up, they do the strobe test and watch it on
Yeah.
the TV screen. And like they've got mannequins in there, and all of a sudden, instead of just 2, there's like 8, and they start moving around, and you can only see them in between flashes. It's just like another really like cheap, really effective stunt that they were able to pull off.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, all this stuff is like really basic. It reminds me of watching like The Conjuring, or like, maybe even Insidious, where like a lot of the gags that James Wan's pulling off are like, he's not reinventing the wheel by any means. He's just doing them very effectively. Simple things done very well,
Right.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't realize is they try to do something new. They try to do something crazy. I understand that need or that want to kind of break it. But we were even talking about that earlier with X this year. It's like, hey, man, like you're just kind of setting up a good film. And then if you want to, add, your own bit of flair or flash into it, that's fine. But like set it up first. And I think that's what they did well here. I think they recognized their financial limitations, their acting limitations, stuff like that. But what's respectable is that like not a lot of people can recognize and be aware of that. They still want to push the limits. What can we get away with? But it like works within its own realm, and it's not the best thing ever, but it's successful in that. And there's a lot of respect to be had there, because so many people fail at even just that simple kind of thing of just like knowing your own limitations. We're going to talk about one man next week who just doesn't know his own goddamn limitations.
Whoa,
Well,
whoa.
yeah, no, I'm totally agree with you. Like this is the thing that's like, it's just very effective because it knows what it wants to be, and it just kind of goes for that. It doesn't need to go to the top shelf of extremity, because that's not the kind of movie they're making. They're making this movie that has spooky moments that aren't enough to scare people away before the ultimate event that's going to be actually like a big deal that would scare anybody off. You know what I mean? Like they temper themselves both for financial reasons and I assume for groundedness reasons, and I think it pays off ultimately. I think that like people are like just to echo what you were saying, like it feels like people, as much as I like people to be creative or whatever I want them to be, but to take the rubric and like wildly diverge, you better have something to back that up. You know what I mean? That's the easiest way to fail, is by trying to add your spin so hard that it spins off completely into some other sort of thing that is in almost all cases not as successful as just the standard archetypal story. Like I think this gives you just a good spooky tale. It's a campfire tale. It does not need to be much more than that.
I agree.
Simplicity
Nice and
can
simple.
work.
I agree.
Like even something as simple as like when they realize that the mannequins' heads do not turn. They're
Mhm.
stationary. Just something as simple as that. You're like, oh my God, but their heads have been turning like crazy.
The whole time. And it's so easy to
The
set
whole
those scenes
time.
up. Like, we just go out and there's a clown in the thing. That takes
Yeah.
no special setup. Literally,
Yeah.
somebody put the clown there and then
Yeah.
they filmed it.
Somebody
And then
just off
somebody
camera.
came behind them and took the
Yeah.
clown away. And like,
And then they
Yeah.
walk the
Oh,
other room. It's like,
God.
hey, I thought you were in there. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Go back and it's gone.
God.
Oh my God. Like,
somebody's
it's so
playing
simple.
the
It's so
piano. Yeah.
there's no
No, it just
trickery
scoot
of the
away.
audience. And as an audience member, you're not fooled by that. You're just
Yeah.
immersed enough to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, and that's
I
the
think
key
that's
to it.
what I was saying. It's like, for me, it's just like, I never felt like, oh, I never really fell into the mystery,
No.
what's around. But I'm doing those beats of like, oh my God, they just put this clown here. It's almost kind of like going through. Well, actually, that's kind of clever, because in the real way, it's kind of like going through a real haunted house.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You go there for an experience to have jump scares and be scared, but most of the time you're walking through admiring the craft. Oh,
Yeah.
somebody put this guy. I don't think this is a real doctor's office with the blood, but you're like, oh, look at these props and all the blood.
Yeah.
Oh, and then maybe somebody jumps out of the corner and gets you because you were looking at the lights or something. You're like, oh fuck. And
Yeah,
you
it really is
laugh
kind of
about
the
it, yeah.
same
So, yeah.
craft. It's just
Yeah.
it's through one lens or through like a 3D walkthrough. Like those are the
Yeah.
difference. That's the
Mhm.
difference. I think that's a good call.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
They dress it up in a faux documentary found footage situation,
Mhm.
but they're walking you through their haunted house time and time again and geting your ass.
It got
And like
my
you think about
ass.
movies that do
Yeah.
like they use a similar setting, like Haunt, which
Mhm.
I like Haunt fine, but to me it's an inferior movie to this, even though it's got more extremity, it's got like snazzier production values, it's got like certainly got better like more impressive sets in general, but it feels like a movie, whereas this feels like, to me, like found footage, and it feels like I'm watching something that is found, and
Yeah.
that is, and that I don't know, I'm just a sucker for that sort of thing. So to me, that's an easy upgrade. And also, like, there's a simplicity to it that, like, people being tricked into going to a murderer's haunted house or whatever, like that can be fine on its own, but like there's just too many moving parts to that movie for my taste, and there's like none of that here. There's no moving parts except for the like few things that you're supposed to pay attention to exclusively. You don't have to figure out who is behind this mask and what their role in the organization is or any of that shit. It's a bunch of robed motherfuckers show up and just start pulling people into walls. That's it.
Hell yeah. Get in her. Whenever Paul like ends up vanishing and they can't find him, they call his phone, and this is a really short, simple beat. They call his phone and he answers, and like they just hear this crazy loud explosion of like digital noise and like screeches, like so loud that no phone would ever actually be able to make noise that loud.
Yeah.
And they just like drop it and it shuts off. Another great like jump scare. I guess you could call that like kind of a cheap scare, but it like works in the context of the story, and I think it's effective for what they're doing. Also, that dude who plays the clown, Joey, I think is the character's name. Before he's in costume, they show him like pop his real eyeball out. That shit is horrific.
I don't like that. Yeah.
He's like holding his eyeball outside of his skull.
Man, when you have access to, if you're making a horror movie and you have access to a guy whose eye pops out, you fucking use it.
Hey man, do the eye thing. Just
do the eye thing.
Yeah,
exactly. It literally adds zero to the story. It's just, I love that character too, because he's defined by that moment and the moment where he just kind of busts ass out,
where he bails.
To fucking die. He's just like, he doesn't say a word. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, he just kind of like scooches out of there.
Yeah. He's kind of
like
brisk. He just briskly jogs his way out of the door.
That would be Justin.
Whoa,
Justin
sorry, I'm out here.
Time to hit the old dusty trail.
Some doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
Fucking sprints, wind sprints.
I mean, he survives, kind of. The longest.
well,
and then he kills himself.
Yeah,
Well,
He
but-
had to
hangs
make
himself.
excuses for the people
Yeah.
that could have shed light on the subject after the fact. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
You can be noble and die, or you can be smart and live.
the thing is, like, it also
And then
it's-
die.
this movie does a good job, I think, like a reasonably good job at, like, implying like the sort of like the Lovecraftian toll that knowing these things takes on people.
Yeah.
You know, I like
Sure.
I mean, I'm always partial to that sort of thing. I think that it's easy. Again, it's one of those things. It's like it's easy to overload it to the point where it becomes stupid, but they just sort of lightly, subtly, like not too subtly, but they just sort of like sprinkle that in there, and it just kind of sits there on the plate. And Joey is like by far the biggest example of that. But like by the end of the movie, you see multiple characters kill themselves. Like,
Yeah.
you know. So I don't know. I think that there's something. And it doesn't like really like, because it doesn't give a whole lot of firm answers or anything. It just leaves that to your imagination in the way that Lovecraft was like so successful at doing.
Mhm.
Well, that's why you just don't read Lovecraft and then you live.
Well,
I've
I'm gonna
actually
read
never-
the Necronomicon.
I've never read any Lovecraft, actually. I should.
Me neither. I've
I
Mm.
tried once, didn't get too far.
No.
you gotta really
Yeah.
you gotta really be invested in the white race to enjoy him to his fullest extent.
Oh, no, is he racist?
Deeply.
Oh no. Oh,
Yeah.
No.
We don't like that. We're not.
We don't.
We're not fans of that.
Oh man, never meet your heroes, huh, boys?
Even if
Mr.
they're dead.
Lovecraft, will you sign my tits?
Damn.
Yes,
Randy
but
asked
only if
for
you
rotting
swear
corpse.
fealty to the white race. Nah. My Lovecraft impression.
Well, that took a turn.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, so does knowing anything about Lovecraft.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well.
I don't want to know anything about any celebrity ever again. It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
it's never
Act and
good.
then disappear, please.
That's why I really like to remain very, very mysterious. You know, I think it
Oh,
really
yeah.
intrigues
Your
our listeners.
celebrity. Yeah. An unknowable
Juice-
celebrity.
Really
Just goes
intrigues
around in a
people,
bucket
though.
hat and sun and shades everywhere he goes.
It says Straight
No.
Chilling Podcast
Lest the-
LLC on it.
That's too faux pas, Randy. Bucket
Lest the
hats, come on.
paparazzi chase him down.
Is that man chugging soju in the middle of the day? Get him. We know who that is. Get
He's
him.
reading Lovecraft. Get him.
He knows the unknowable things. Ah.
The
Here's the-
unknowable thing is racism, as it turns out.
Here's the thing about the unknowable things, boys.
Should be unknowable.
Does it make you? Does it take control of your body and force you to kill yourself? Or does it show you such terrible things that you want to end your own life?
We will never know.
Boy.
It's a martyr's
unknowable.
ending.
Ponder
You
that.
can't know it.
Sit and think.
The martyr's
Isn't that
ending,
so
man.
mysterious? Isn't that
It's gonna
so
drive
It also
me
isn't
insane.
penetrating you. That's a bummer.
I want to be penetrated. No, I don't.
Bah!
Just kidding.
Randy,
What?
grab that clip immediately. It's clean.
I mean, I didn't think that
It's
you would top
so
the
clean.
bump I just used.
Yeah.
You sure did.
It was me riffing off of a shitty thing that I said a year ago.
Rob's we're gonna have so many bumps.
Oh
it's
yeah.
just gonna be Rob riffing off himself constantly, saying worse
It
and
just
worse
gets
things.
worse and worse. I
It's
just
a
gotta
copy of a
stop
copy of a
talking
copy
on this audio podcast.
Oh, Bob. Oh man. How
Ugh.
long have we been doing this?
Apparently not long enough. 8 years this month, by the way. 8 years
Whoa!
this month.
Happy birthday, straight
Happy-
chilling. Do we have an exact
oh
date?
my god.
No, I don't remember the exact date.
We gotta pull
And
out
we
that lost recording of what, Black Christmas or Scream 2?
Scream Deuce was the very first thing we ever recorded.
I
and then
wonder
we're
if
like,
you said the
"Hmm."
date on that.
I don't know if I did way
Do you
back
have
then.
that? Do you have it?
Maybe.
That would
that
be
got
nice.
Yeah, I
corrupted,
think so.
didn't
I think
Oh,
so.
you do?
No, yeah, because I'm pretty sure I pulled some clips from it from our first supercut. Yeah, so yeah, no, this is really interesting
Okay.
for everybody else.
Well,
this-
I mean, that's straight chilling history. Happy birthday!
Yeah, eight years
Unfortunately,
ago,
as
boys.
much as I enjoy this movie, it's kind of covered.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, there is. It's not, the story's not that deep, and I think we've covered just about everything. We can go ahead and rate it. Out of five, Juice, why don't you kick us off? How do you feel about Hell House Limited Liability Corporation?
I liked this movie. It was fun for getting into spooky season. I really was just able to kind of enjoy the low budget craft of it. I thought they made some smart choices. Thought they made some kind of cop out choices. Like, there's no reason why you can't have a conversation about financials. You don't need to glitch that out. And some of the things did look, their price range, like some of the effects and things like that. But mostly it was fun, like going through a haunted house. It doesn't have to be perfect. I like the kind of grit to it. I like the feel of it, the do it yourself kind of attitude. And they did well enough in those things to not like completely take me out. Yeah, it just the kind of mix of haunted house slash cult slash demons, while still keeping it super limited was fun and smart. The actors are fine, nobody's really convincing me here, but they're not doing a terrible job. The story is a little limited narration, and just like, I don't know, overall, like where we end up is a little thin, but I enjoyed the ride. So for that and like the vibes it gives and everything like that, I think I'll end it at 3.25.
Okay. Getting deep in the fraction game.
Well, it's like I feel like it's better than a 3, but not good enough. Like, I feel like a lot of movies this year I've been like 3.5, 3.5, and so I have that number on my mind, and it's like not quite as good like overall as those, but since I enjoyed it so much, give it a 3.25. A Robert out of 5. Hell House LLC.
I had a really great time watching this movie. I think it makes a lot with a little, and I could see this movie being made by someone else and just totally sucking, like, pretty easily as well. I mean, they could have done more with the characters, and it probably would have enriched the movie a little bit if we like really had solid personalities and motivations built out for everybody. The biggest motivation needed is why everybody is staying. Like, how is Alex able to convince all these people to stay, and why is he so hell-bent on staying? Apparently it is money, but like they could have just wound that into the story and it would have been more satisfactory, I think. Even if it was ultimately unbelievable for me, like I wouldn't stay because of money, because I'm worried that Alex is going to lose his company. I'd be like, sorry, I don't want to lose my fucking life. I'm seeing this giant ass clown mannequin move all over this joint, and that's nuts. Dude, the scares in this, though, there's so many that are so simple and so effective. I love that kind of stuff. And we kind of walk through the majority of them. There's one that the only one that comes to the top of my head that we didn't mention, was where they find Sarah down in the basement, and she's like speaking backwards, and it's like totally inhuman and unnatural, and they sort of wake her up and she freaks out and she's screaming, and they run into the clown again, and they go through the dining room and somebody's lit a shitload of candles, and then the clown appeared. It's just like hit after hit after hit, and like after that, dude, everybody would leave. Nobody would have stayed after that. But I love how effective that stuff is, man. It really works so well for me. And the little bit of like backstory they give you about the hotel, I find that really interesting, and how well it really does play into the opening night and all the shit that goes down, and how you can like hear the creature sort of like snarling off screen. It's just really, really effective, man. All the way up until the very end where they find the ghost of Sarah in the room 2C or whatever. It's a satisfying ending overall, I think. It's a little thin on plot, a little thin on characters, but it's just a fun ass ride to go on. And I think I just like love the idea of like setting up and operating a haunt. That's just such a fun idea to me. I would love to do something like that, and like the fact that we get to see them sort of set up and work through it is just like really, really enjoyable. I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5. I think.
Whoa.
Randy, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I echo a lot of what you said. To me, it's like this the things that fail about this movie are things that could have been fixed, like with some savvy writing, whatever. Like, we don't need to keep the financials a secret. If you can keep it secret for a while, but like, there's no reason for a glitch out, like semi-ambiguous thing about it if it's just going to amount to financials. I assumed until I read that from the director that there must be something supernatural at play in this conversation, or something like beyond just financial woes, because why would Tony have been like, oh, I guess I gotta stay, like have this like real like calm come to Jesus moment after freaking the fuck out legitimately for a good reason. So like things like that don't work for me. Like, just have Alex reveal that all of their money, all of their pay is tied up in the thing, and if they don't open the first night or whatever, then they don't get paid or whatever. Like, you can explicitly say that stuff. That doesn't need to be the mystery. The mystery is what the hell's going on in this house, and explaining why people stay there should be the easier part, even though it seems hard for us because we're not seeing it done. There's got to be some like storytelling beat that you can tell that isn't just ambiguous nonsense that can justify that for us and let us focus on the real mystery, if that's what you want us to do, or just the journey. And fortunately, the journey itself is very strong, and through both of those situations, it carries things through. I think that, like I said earlier, that you can dig into it as deep as you want, but ultimately this is a fun ride, and I mean that like in a Universal Studios sense. It feels like walking through a haunted house. Like Justin said, it feels like an attraction. So like the story is secondary. You're there for jump scares. You're there to be like immersed into an environment and to feel like you're walking through a haunted house. And you get that point blank. It's also a relatively short movie. It's also a scrappy DIY project that is very clearly something of a labor of love. And so you got to love that about it. And you got to respect that the end result is as fun as it is, because we have seen, or I have seen certainly, several movies that were, put together by hand by a scrappy group that just aren't nearly this fucking good. Like, it is so much easier to make a bad movie than a good one. So much easier, or else it wouldn't be fucking a multi-billion-dollar industry. So I don't know. I love this movie, and I like, for me, the spooky season of it all, the Halloweeniness of it all really, really adds something for me. And I think that pushes me over the edge to really loving it and wanting to watch it, even after seeing it, 3 years running at this point. So for me, I'm gonna go with a hyperfraction 2. I'm gonna go with 3.75.
There you go.
Let's
get in there.
3.73 repeating.
You complete me, Randy.
I round you.
That's a weird sexual term I never heard of before. Round me, baby.
Bob, you are
She's a fancy flapjack.
setting yourself up for some risky bumps.
Yeah.
Risky bump.
I mean, that also sounds pretty sexual, I'll be honest. Our aggregate's going to be a 3.7.
Bob is thirsty these days. I need to give Alice a quick call. So it's going
Stay thirsty, my friends.
Why aren't you taking care of my boy?
Whoa. Let's jump into.
Oh, that's the bridge. That's the bridge we won't cross.
We gotta draw a line somewhere, I guess. Let's go ahead and jump over into our Rotten Tomatoes segment. See what the critics and users think about Hell House LLC.
Certified.
All right, ladies and germs, this is the Rotten Tomatoes segment, in which I'm going to give these gentlemen the chance to guess, within the best of their abilities, what the critics and users score are on RottenTomatoes.com. That's the aggregate positive scores for both critics and users. Now, there are only 12 critics counted for this film, and that is where we're going to start. Yeah, a very small sample. So why don't we start with Bob this week? Bob, where do you think those 12 critics land on the positive scale?
I think this is going to be largely positive. I'm going to go with a 75, please.
75 percentile. Juice, what about you? Where are you differing from Bob on this one?
Damn, with such a small sample size, it's hard to guess. I'll go
Yeah.
higher and I'll say 80.
80. All right. Well, gentlemen, I believe this is the second week in a row that we had ourselves a little ringy dingy on this critic score. Juice,
Oh,
you fucked up.
Oh no!
It's a 75%.
Got his ass. Yes.
Cheater,
Yes.
cheater, Blumpkin eater, Bob.
Sweet victory is Bob's. Yes.
That was a very successful Simon Cowell moment for me.
Yeah,
I'm very
you
proud.
psyched it out, Randy.
All right, 75%, only 12 critics reviews, so there's not enough to give it a pot like a certified fresh or anything like that. I don't know what the threshold is, but 12 is not meeting the threshold. So 75%. Let's go.
I want to
over the
hear
audience
you run
scores.
this segment in like a really cruel British accent, please.
Cruel? Oh, because Simon.
Cruel
Like, what?
British accent. Oh, it's like
Yeah.
Simon Cowell. No, I'd
Yeah.
rather not.
No.
Yes and no. 250 plus audience scores were counted for this one. Let's start with Juice this time. Redemption is yours. What do you think that audience positivity score would be?
Ooh, I think it'll probably be close to the critics because it was so small. But I don't know. I want to go too high. So I'll just take the 69 dudes just because it's been a while.
60. Well, God bless you.
69 dudes.
Sorry to hear
All right.
that, Justin.
Bob.
Bob, you have been in some deviants lately. You have to make some calls.
I'm gonna
Bob,
go.
You're a danger to yourself and others.
No, I'm not. I'm gonna go higher, I think. Oh,
Ooh.
I'm gonna do 75 again. Let's do it.
75.
Double down.
Again. It served you well the first time, but not this time. Juice is going to take this one. It's a 71%. So
Oh,
very
whoa! That's a hell yeah!
For a second, I really thought you were going 71. I was like, he's going to sweep it. He's going to sweep it. No, nope. You done fucked up.
Damn. I left some on the floor. Sorry.
Boys, I was
Just mop that up.
Listening to our old Halloween triple feature of Halloween 4, 5, and 6, and right around
Classic.
that time is when I first started using the Hell Yeet. So it's been about 2 years now.
Too long. if you ask
That's a
anyone.
history lesson nobody wanted.
2
Let's read
whole
in-
years of Hell Yeets, boys.
There-
There's
Of
been a lot of
torture.
them.
It's got a death curse.
So there is no critics or what do you call it? Like a critic consensus
Consensus.
review, obviously, for a 12 review situation. So
Yeah.
instead, I'm going to skip right to a negative review because they're typically funnier, and I'm going to have to go to the audience because the critics were too buttoned up on this one. They weren't funny. Here's one. 1/2 star, unrealistic, stupid. So many reviews online praise this. My guess is that they are all fake.
What? This is
Guys,
unrealistic.
Look at your hand.
Oh,
You're going to start disappearing like Marty McFly. Oh my God.
all movies need to be realistic for me to like them.
They're all
man.
fake.
This fake
Man.
movie's fake as shit.
Fuck it. I hate it.
This fictional movie feels fake.
All these reviews are somehow fake. Like this movie is fake. It's fucking.
That's like- that's a
dumb.
person-
I don't like it. It's so bad.
I have to assume that person struggles with object permanence. I have to assume.
God damn. It's gone. It's out of sight. What? I mean, where could it be?
It doesn't exist. What are you talking about?
Oh God.
if his girlfriend goes to work, he's like, "Oh my God, my girlfriend left me.
She walks in the door and he just wags his
Oh
ass.
my God, you came back." Yeah, he wags his ass.
Wags his ass.
Wags his ass.
Say it
So
every
well
day.
done, internet
I
reviewers,
believe
whose
that
first
you
name
do.
is Chainsaw for some reason.
The person's name is
Chainsaw has
Chainsaw.
this to say. Apparently,
Well, that's
my
unrealistic.
boy
I hate
Chainsaw. He doesn't believe I exist if I walk out of the room.
He just
Chainsaw.
wags his
Freddy.
ass as soon as I come in.
This whole Hell House LLC is a false flag operation.
Damn.
Anyway, we're done here.
Alrighty then. Let's go and talk about some trivia.
It's totally time for trivia.
Bob, is that a lot of trivia on Hell House LLC?
There's a few I got here. So after one of these scares, Paul runs out of the strobe light room and throws up. Apparently, that was not scripted. He really did run out of the room and vomit.
Oh, damn.
Whoa.
That's not like the
I don't know.
strobes.
Yeah, maybe
because
he's
he was
epileptic?
scared, or
No, probably
Oh,
like
yeah.
some vision thing with
Yeah.
the strobe lights.
Yeah, that's what I would guess. Yeah, I'm not
Maybe.
sure. It doesn't say, but that's what I would guess.
I doubt he was
the-
actually scared.
No, yeah, he should know that it's
Yeah,
fake.
he should know the exact thing that's about to happen in this scene.
Yeah, as an actor in the movie. This movie was shot at a real haunted house attraction in Layton, Pennsylvania. It's called The Haunting at the Waldorf Hotel.
Oh, cool.
The haunt did take over an abandoned hotel, just like in the movie. I wonder if that's still operating. That'd be badass.
I'm looking it up right now.
Let's dip
Opens
into
October 1st.
Let's dip
Oh,
into the
shit.
funds. We're buying plane tickets for the whole Straight Chilling crew, and we're
Man.
going.
If only we rolled that deep, that would be fucking so much fun. I would love to
that
do
would
that.
that would be a blast.
Sign up for Patreon.
Yeah, and we'll fly out to Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah,
Probably-
you can become mega chilling status if you donate $500.
Chilling.
All you have to do is
Stack.
pay us $1,000, and then we'll
And
fly
we will
you.
fly you out.
And Apple gift
us.
cards, of course.
If you want to hang out with the Straight Chilling crew, all you gotta do is pay $1,000. We'll buy your plane ticket, Bob's plane ticket, Soju's plane ticket, Randy.
Everybody will definitely
course,
show
we'll
up
need-
and not move to the Caymans.
And of course, we'll need your social security number for verification purposes. I think that goes without saying.
Let's make that $5,000. You know, we want to get a nice hotel. We
We
want.
know you guys got it.
You guys
got
deserve better than the
it.
super
It's
rate.
fine. Then the 7-Eleven bathroom.
7-Eleven bathroom is what we're
You
doing.
guys
But
deserve
let's just skip
better.
that.
I mean, some of us deserve to fly first class, you know. So let's make it a cool
Some of
5,000.
us.
Just round it up. Just round it up.
Around here, that means big money.
Some more trivia. Writer-director Stephen Cognetti is uncredited in this movie, but he plays a cameraman with the tour group in the main sequence of the film.
Mhm.
The piano, I didn't actually listen back to confirm this, but allegedly the piano theme that we hear throughout the movie sounds like exactly like the Meow Mix jingle, just slowed
No.
down some.
No.
Yeah.
Bam, 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 bam.
Oh, Randy knows it offhand.
I
yeah.
I
Well,
don't
I've
know
seen
the
it enough
meow.
times. But Meow Mix is like meow.
Yeah, it's descending.
It's like all descending, whereas this one's like
Mm,
it's closer to that.
mm.
Oh, a little Hearst song action.
Yeah, it's a little closer to her song than it is to Meow Mix.
We're
Fucking
musical
cats.
here.
Fucking cats. Get the fuck
Cats.
out of my movie, cats. And your food.
We all have a bump of us saying "fucking cats."
Oh, I'm
now,
sorry.
so-
I thought this was Hell House LLC, not Meow Mix LLC.
Not cat fucking LLC.
God damn.
We're burning this episode to the ground.
Dude, yeah, this is not a flattering episode.
I'm so sorry for first time listeners.
I know. Come on, boys. It's spooky.
Oh, I'm
season.
sorry,
We
every
gotta
week,
be on our A game.
Yeah,
don't.
this is our A+ game.
Mhm.
About halfway through the movie, when Paul and Tony find Sarah staring at the wall in the middle of the night, it appears she's speaking in tongues. The audio is recorded and played in reverse, and it's a recording of the actress actually saying, "When I got to the front door, the police were arriving."
Oh, so she was practicing.
Mm,
I guess so, yeah. And I mean,
And she says that to the
yeah.
documentarians. Oh, speaking of
okay,
like
yeah.
the newscast or whatever, like that is like I didn't bring this up because I didn't think about it, but that's the weakest part of the movie, right? Like where they follow it up or whatever. That button could have been so
Yeah.
much quicker. It was too long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you could feel like the cheapness of it a little bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of remind me of WNUF, kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. A couple more for you here. At the beginning of the movie, there's a 911 call. You hear a woman frantically talking to the police, saying what's going on. The voice is muffled, and you hear she's saying something like they're blah, 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 into the wall. And if you listen really closely, you can hear she's saying they're pulling us into the wall. Which, if you're not like really paying close attention, that might be missed by maybe first time watchers. I don't know. And finally, although it's not mentioned in this movie, we find out in Hell House LLC 2, the Abaddon Hotel, that Alex never received permission to use the hotel as a haunted house, and he knew its twisted history before the crew came to the house. Because of this, and the fact that he was so concerned about people being frightened away by the Andrew Tully story, this is why Alex gets so dodgy and dismissive whenever the hotel's history is brought up. So I don't know. I haven't seen the sequels.
Did he do that so he wouldn't have to pay rent on the place? Like, how do you just take over a building?
Show up, yeah, and get
Act
power.
like you belong. Like, how do
it,
squatters do it? Like,
yeah, that's true.
You just
But
kind of
they
show
don't
up.
I don't know.
This
They
is
didn't
my
have-
house now, bitch.
They didn't have power, but they got somebody to get the power. I don't know.
Squatters' rights.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like this is the thing, is like the more you dig into like reasonings and the more that the
doesn't-
lore builds, it just
It doesn't
not
really matter that much.
the fun part, and it gets
It's not the
less
fun
fun
part.
as the more you add.
Let's remove fun from this movie and our podcast right now. Let's just do that.
If I have any more fun today, I don't think I'm going to be able to take it.
Perfect. All right, boys, that's all I got for trivia. Let's talk Cooter of the Week.
Straight chillin'. Cooter of the week.
Juice, what is a cooter and why do we hunt them?
No, Cooter's character type. Okay. And a straight chillin' exclusive. Cooter must hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a cooter, but we want the cooter with the most points. The 5 points of cooterdom are sexual deviance, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall look and attire, and overall patheticness. This one might be a little tough. I think maybe there's one cooter. Anybody stand out to you, boys?
My initial impression is Paul.
Paul or Alex. I think they both
I was thinking
hit.
Alex. Okay.
Alex has some maybe, but at least outwardly, Paul Paul is he is not shy about coming on to people or like creeping on people, literally like just filming his friend's ass in their private room.
So I creep.
Yeah. That's like,
I've always been a creeper.
I don't know if
I forgot about that scene. That's true.
I guess that might hit on sexual deviance and patheticness. Like that might be kind of a double-edged sword there.
Well, he
for
even
Paul.
like later is like, and the only girl here is, and I've heard an actress,
Sarah.
Name, but Sarah, and Alex doesn't like to share. It's like, get out of here, man. Man, fuck off.
Yeah,
and
he talks about like
share your
hoping...
girlfriend with me.
What a prude. He talks about hoping like one of the people they hire is like gonna be quote bonable. It's like,
and he's very creepy towards her.
Yeah. I think that's all he's got though, really. Like,
that's the thing, is like his character is just that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what other things he hits. He dresses normally. Manipulation, not really. I mean, not really arrogant that I can tell.
That's what I think. So Alex definitely has the arrogance, I think. He doesn't listen to anyone. He dismisses them, despite the fact that most of the time it's like his girlfriend that's in direct danger or doing some spooky shit. So smug arrogance, he's manipulating them, because if he does know the history of the hotel, then he's obviously keeping that from them in order just to make money. So manipulation, smug arrogance. I don't think sexual deviancy.
No.
I don't think so.
Looking at Tyra,
pathetic?
So does he hit patheticness?
I don't know, man. It'd be pretty light if he does.
Yeah.
Because
I
like,
don't really feel it. Yeah,
I don't either. Yeah. Okay. Well,
a couple cooter lights, really,
Yeah.
but nothing too
some
bad, I guess.
tendencies, some cooter tendencies around here, but yeah, I don't
Yeah.
see,
think
that's
they
the thing
hit
is
hard enough.
like this is what I like about like the characters are a little thin, but like when they get together and they start chit chatting or whatever, it seems pretty affable. Like
Yeah.
that whole
Yeah.
scene where
Yeah.
they're talking about the guy with the Brooklyn accent playing Satan. I laughed my ass off at that every
Yeah,
time.
that was pretty
That
good.
is pretty
like,
funny.
Welcome to hell or whatever the guy
That
does
did
his impression,
feel-
and it's felt very like organic.
That
me.
felt
Yeah.
genuine. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like-
running a haunted house in Queens, I'd fucking go to that shit real quick.
Yeah, no shit.
Grab a slice afterwards. Now you're talking.
Oh yeah.
So Hell House
Sign
LLC
up
is
now.
Cooter free.
on Patreon.
Only $10,000 ahead.
We will fly you out.
We
for a
will fly
slice
you
of
first
pizza
class
in
for
Queens
your small
We will-
donation of $10,000.
of $69,000.
Deuce will tattoo your name on the interior of his ass crack.
Damn. Get in there. Spread it apart.
Get the juice now. That's our new Patreon tier. Is the juice now?
Get the juice now.
You can get the
Get
juice
the
now.
juice now.
We're gonna get done, dudes!
Just go to this little website. Let me spell it for you. ONLY.
Only fans of juice. Hit the juice now. Gentlemen, let's talk about what we've been watching these past 3 weeks.
Whoa, Bob.
Jesus Christ.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Oh boys, Randu, what you been watching?
Well, here's the back catalog. I finished the main, whatever, like a majority of Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. It's a great game.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of people that call it like one of the greatest platformers of all time and all this shit. I don't know about that because I don't play enough modern platformers to really capably say that. But I'll say it's better than any Donkey Kong Country game I've ever played.
Really? I gotta look this shit up. I remember you mentioning it.
It's by a matter of margins, It's not like, but it's less frustrating than those games. So there's less like getting mad and rage quitting and all that dumb shit. It's a lot more manageable.
For the weaker of the gamers.
Yes. Here I am.
It doesn't challenge them with real.
I mean, it's got its challenges, but it's not, and it's like I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into it, but it's a fun game. It is an enjoyable game, and it's like it makes you feel like a badass for doing things that you're for just figuring things out quickly.
Looks good.
Halloween is Grinch Night. I watched that as well. I did not care for it.
Really? That's we talked about this before. Remember, I just found out.
That's what made me watch it. Yeah.
I'd never seen it before. Had you seen it before?
I had seen like 5 minutes of it prior.
Okay.
And I just for whatever reason had to turn it off, and I hadn't checked it. I might have seen it as a kid.
I've been saving
it's
it for
like
October specifically.
It's a very strange show, and I don't know that it really speaks to Halloween, except that there's a lot of orange in the color palette.
Okay. Interesting.
So it's a strange thing. I can see why it didn't take off, and there's music in it, and the music is not good.
Damn. Don't ruin it for me before I get there, Randy. Damn.
Well, I mean, maybe you'll feel different. I don't know, but like you think about the fucking Grinch Stole Christmas. The music in that is not like it's not like mind-bendingly great, but it's fun. It's fine. It works. Serves the purpose.
I think it's good.
It's good. It's good. Yeah.
It's
anyway,
good.
I watched Head of the Family from 1997. Have you guys seen Head of the Family?
Oh,
yes.
You have, Bob?
Yeah. Oh, well, Joe Bob showed it. That's the only reason I watched it.
I
Yeah.
missed that.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fucking weird ass movie.
Yeah, it is.
I did not get what I expected out of that one. It's not nearly as ridiculous as I thought it would be, but it is still very ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it. So yeah, I don't know. I watched Watcher, which I know you guys have watched. You did a mini cast about it, and I thought that was pretty good. Not earth-shatteringly good, but good. Let's see. I watched, just for a nostalgia trip, I watched both Austin Powers and The Spy Who Shagged Me this week.
Nice.
Wow.
And
no
those
Gold
movies,
member?
I mean, give it time. But yeah,
Okay.
those movies do not hold up that great, but they are such nostalgia bait for me, and I
can't
like them.
imagine that watching it now for the first time.
Dude, I don't like. I watched that movie. I was like, I can't tell who this is for, and then I remember who I was when I loved it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it was for me. I was 11.
Yeah, exactly.
I was 11, and it felt like I was breaking rules by watching this dude drink a mug full of shit, and calling it very nutty. Yeah. And then what's I mentioned
That's
shit,
right.
so Bob's gonna be cackling for like 20 minutes.
That's right up Bob's alley there.
I
Rob's a
also
scat
watched
mag.
a movie, a Netflix film, or a movie released on Netflix anyway, called The Incantation, or just Incantation maybe. And it's a Taiwanese found footage horror that is apparently the highest grossing horror, or highest grossing maybe movie. I don't know if it's horror movie or just movie from Taiwan.
Oh wow.
Ever. And it's pretty fun. I like I said earlier, I'm a mark for found footage, and that one hit me pretty good. You know, it's not perfect. It's one of the it struggles on immersion a little bit, which is weird that I still like it, because that's my favorite thing about found footage. But I still liked it quite a bit. I thought it was it was something I hadn't seen in the genre before, I guess, in a lot of ways.
Taiwan's kicking them out this year, huh?
I guess. And then let's see, I watched Alligator with Robert Forster, and buddy, I should not have slept on that movie so long. I always had this good feeling about watching that movie, and I never fucking did, and I missed out, because that is just an insane fucking trip. If you watch that shit while you are smoking, buddy,
Nice.
you have no fucking idea where you're going.
That makes sense. I was gonna say I watched that this year too for the first time, and I did not love it that much, but I was very sober.
Bob,
Dude,
that's your mistake.
I don't know why,
live
but
life
there's some like interesting fucking camera work, and there's some like really artsy shit going on in that movie, and then it shows like fucking Cheswick from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest get eaten by an alligator, and that's it. Like, or like a really silly shot of a gator bursting out of the streets or whatever.
Yeah.
But then it'll have like really like, I'm like, oh my god, did David Lynch co-direct this? What is happening? And Robert Forster's in it, so that only added to that feeling. Last but not least, I watched Barbarian in theaters, and that was a pretty fun watch. I'll leave it at that. I don't know for sure if we'll get to it this year or not, but if we do, I want to save it. Other than that, let's see. Yeah, that's about it.
Juice, what you been watching?
I have been watching a ton of things since it's been so long. I have been watching a lot of Treehouse of Horror. So it's my goal this year to kind of watch all of them. So I'm watching at least one a day, usually like with lunch. And they're pretty short, 20, 23 minutes. So roller coaster ride on that one. So I specifically started with the ones so this year we'll be getting up to 10 with our annual review. So I started after that. So I started with 11, and now I think I've only got about 5 left until the ending, and then I'll go back and watch the OG 10 as well. Roller coaster ride, I will say, if anybody is interested in doing this, you can pretty much just skip all the teens, just skip them all. But then 20 real seriously, they're bad, they're rough.
I believe you.
Yeah, but then 20, surprisingly, if you want to get back into Treehouse of Horror, I would start at 20, and they have a solid run where it's like they just woke up and they just start doing classic horror films, deep cut, Freaks. They did Freaks. They did Strangers on a Train. They just do some really classic stuff. They throw in some they do a Dexter spoof that was good, and some other modern stuff as well. But yeah, I was so pleased that they changed gears.
Is it funnier too, or is it just that they're doing more horror stuff?
It is, yeah. It's just overall better. I don't know, it's got that new kind of animation look, that kind of sheen and stuff, but it's like a complete switch. Something about hitting 20, they must have hired new writers or something, but they have a good solid stretch. I don't think it's quite as good as 1 through 10, but it's way better than the teens. I know that. I saw quite a bit of new films. I saw a new film, What Josiah Saw. I believe that's on Shudder, in the States. Yeah, I like that pretty good. It's got little hints of like No Country for Old Men, or maybe even like a little Hereditary in there. It's got splashes of these like pretty well-made films, and it's like crafted really well. It's kind of like this Southern Gothic kind of tale. It deals with like a haunted farmhouse kind of. It's interesting. I thought it was pretty solid, and interesting new movie for this year. I did do a mini cast on it, so eventually that will be dropping before Halloween. I watched The Glorious, which we've talked about, The Haunted Glory Hole, which will have a mini cast dropping this Friday, but I thought that was solid.
That dropped last Friday.
That dropped last Friday. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So much to keep track of.
I know. So yeah, I thought it's a bit of a black comedy in a way. But yeah, it's interesting. J.K. Simmons, I think, is one of the biggest appeals of that film. I watched Sleepy Hollow 1949, the animated version.
Ooh,
nice.
And I haven't seen that in a while. And man, Ichabod Crane, man, he's macking.
He's a cooter.
Yeah, he's strolling in there, and he's smoozing all the ladies and like getting fed up in there, but then he tosses them away for this, good looking lady. I don't know. It was interesting. 1949. Wow. That is a long time ago. I watched Frankenweenie for the first time. So I'd never seen that before. Yeah.
The short or the film?
The film. So from like 2012.
No, like
1912. Yeah. No, 2012.
1912.
I had never seen that before. Pretty solid, pretty good. Got that Tim Burton look. It's weirder to watch kind of his films that are made for kids, but as an adult for the first time. But I liked it. I liked it pretty good. And then finally, the last one I watched was yet another new film called You Are Not My Mother. I believe this is a Scottish horror film. And it is about this family, and their mom starts like acting really weird. And they're like, is it the mom? Is it not? Is she going psychotic? What's going on? So it was pretty good, slow burn, creepy type of Scottish horror film. So yeah, I dug on that one pretty good as well. That is all I have been watching. Robert, what have you been watching, my guy?
A lot. Just a lot. So I watched the entirety of season 1 of this HBO show that Randy mentioned on here a couple times. It's called The Rehearsal.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that's a bit of a roller coaster ride of a show. Yeah. And so if you hadn't heard Randy mention what it's about, it's about what's the guy's name? Nathan? Is that
Fielder?
Nathan Fielder, thank you. He's got this 6-part show on HBO, and he creates a situation where somebody in their real life is dealing with a very difficult situation, and they're sort of dreading it and dragging their feet about like having a difficult conversation with somebody. So he like creates a situation where they can practice or rehearse that like time and time and time again, and like figure out exactly what to say and how best to say it and all the different outcomes that might happen. And it's like very scientific in a way that he like it starts off that way. They like rebuild like the exact place the conversation is going to happen in. They find actors that like sort of study the person you're going to be talking with, and they like act it out with you. I don't know. That's how the show starts, and then it sort of takes a pivot where like he gets a little more involved in like living out one of his sort of personal rehearsals, and then like certain things happen where like maybe it doesn't go quite as planned, and he has to pivot again. It's like almost impossible to like completely describe what the show. It evolves. It just keeps evolving, man. It's like I was saying, like at the end of the first episode, I was like pretty damn intrigued. I was like, okay, let's see like where this is gonna go. You think each episode's gonna be sort of like a one-off situation, and that's definitely not how the show ends up at all. And it's I don't. Yeah. Ultimately, I don't think I like it very much.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like I liked it quite a bit, and then I was like very intrigued as it was pivoting, and then ultimately when it concluded, I was like, I don't like this dude and the things that he's doing to these people. Like, I don't know. It's hard to like talk about fully without spoiling. It's intriguing as shit though. I will say that. Never seen anything like it before, and I guess it's gonna get another season from what I see.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really
there's a lot.
watch.
Actually, there's quite a bit of debate over the morality of the show.
That's
happened,
why
like, immediately afterwards.
Don't really like it. Is because of those aspects of the show. It's just like not cool.
I like it. You know, I definitely do like it, but also I can like it's because it edges so close to things that would be catastrophic. But yeah, there's definitely some it's kind of like the fact that we feel conflicted about it is sort of the point. So I have to give it that, you know?
Yeah, he's sort of like, I mean, it's scientific in a way that like he sets up this situation and like repeats it while like augmenting it to try and dial it in. And it seems like the more he dials it in, the worse the outcome becomes. So he just like throws himself into it, and it's like, oh my God, it's just weird, man. It's a weird ass movie.
It's a weird
show. Yeah. I watched a lot of other shit. So Training Day, I watched that for the first time ever. I'd never seen that before. Denzel Washington and of course our boy Kevin Bacon, right?
Right.
Our boy.
Anybody, right? It's a fun ass ride. It's like a 2-hour long cop drama. Ethan Hawke is like on his first day on the job. Ooh. Gets paired up. And yeah.
Oh, that was the joke.
That was the joke.
I've never seen the movie, so I didn't know you were joking.
Okay. Ethan Hawke is actually Kevin Bacon's not on this. Okay. He gets paired up with Denzel Washington.
That's a little. I was tuned into what our listeners hear every week. Like, what the fuck are these guys talking about?
What the fuck is happening? He gets paired up with Denzel Washington, and he's like showing him the ropes. First day on the job, they're like plainclothes police officers. They're like, you know, deep cover, I guess, and shit goes sideways. And it's a very compelling performance by both of those really great actors. I was on HBO, so I just threw it on.
Dude, that movie's so good, but it makes me so uncomfortable.
Oh, it's an uncomfortable movie for sure. Ooh. It's like, you know, one of those classics that I just have never seen and checked it off the list. It's good.
Good.
That new Elvis movie came out. It's also on HBO. And I was hanging out.
A lot of money.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'm not like a huge Elvis fan.
So does Jeff Bezos.
I'll get that out.
Big piece of shit there.
My family came in town and we put this on, and we got maybe halfway through it, and every single one of us hated it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Across the board.
Okay, there's something magical about that.
Yeah, family hating a film.
Like my mom, my dad, my sisters, my nephew, everybody was like, what is this garbage? Like, turned it off.
Just watch Walk Hard next time.
Next time somebody's fighting in the family, you guys can remember how shitty that Elvis movie was?
Elvis.
Well, I think you suck, son, but better than that Elvis movie.
You don't suck as hard as that fucking Elvis movie does. I watched the first episode of this show that's on Hulu. It's an animated show. It's got Danny DeVito's. He's a voice actor in it. It's called Little Demon. it's I don't know. It's hard
Dan
to
Harmon
like.
thing, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a Dan Harmon thing for sure. I enjoyed the hell out of the first episode of it. It's definitely got that like Rick and Morty kind of vibe to it, but it's got a way more like horror bent. It's like there's like blood and guts and like full blown nudity. It's like kind of a crazy fucking animated show. I want to like watch some more and see like how it unfolds, but I'm definitely intrigued by the first episode. Anyways, I really enjoyed the first episode. I guess lastly, I'll say I watched a band. I drove up to Atlanta, Georgia, and watched a band, Harley Poe, in concert. It's, if you're unfamiliar with them, they are a horror folk punk act out of Indiana, I think. And they've been around for quite a few years, and they rarely come down this far south, so I took advantage of the opportunity, and they killed it. They got their most recent record is called Horrorful, and every song on it is about a horror movie. So if you're into folk punk, check out Harley Poe. I think they've got like a couple dates left on their tour. So yeah, it's good shit. I really, really dig it. And that's it for your boy Bob.
Nice.
Marathon sesh.
That was a lot.
We do have up. Like someone else on this podcast.
That's what that was. We got one more segment. So let's get into our hotline screams.
I have a daddy kink.
Hotline scream.
If you are listening and would like to call in and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We got 3 voicemails this week. First up, we're going to hear from Chris. Let's check it out.
Hey, Straight Chillin' crew. This is Chris from Louisiana, a.k.a. Supreme Leader Vladimir Putin. Anyways, I was listening to the episode, the Hotline Screams. Heidelberg just called in about his ass-to-ass bachelor party story, and I didn't have one to top it, but I had a bachelor party story that I wanted to relay also. It's probably the craziest night of my life, and true fact, the only bachelor party I've ever been to. So, the friend's house, 3 brothers, and we'd party over there probably every weekend. One of the guys in the group was getting married, so they naturally throw the bachelor party at this guy's house, or at the 3 brothers' house. So the guy who's bringing the strippers, right, comes in first to go over the ground rules. Think Joe Piscopo circa 1984, the tightest afro mullet that you've ever seen, and then John Waters' pencil thin creeper mustache, right? The half-button shirt, perfectly coiffed chest hair, thin gold necklace just laying right on top of the chest hair. Just a creepy guy. So when he sees that we have a keg, he asks if he can have some of the beer. And we tell him, yeah. So he goes out to the van, gets an empty Gatorade bottle, and then for the duration while the entertainment is there, he's filling up, his Gatorade bottle with our beer. So he brings in the ladies. Oh, first, before the ladies come in, he's negotiating about the lighting situation. He wants all the lights off, just real dim lighting. So it gets kind of heated. The person who procured the entertainment, insists that the full light effect is on, full lights. They meet middle ground. Once the ladies come in, we quickly discover why he wanted the lights off. The 2 women that were there to provide the entertainment had the thickest, largest C-section scars I've ever seen in my entire life, which is perfectly fine. I thought they were very, very attractive. Anyways, so after a couple of hours of fun and games and stuff, it comes out that one of the girls, this is her first night ever doing bachelor parties. She's drinking also, so she decides to let the bouncer know that she will provide hand jobs for $10 a pop to anybody interested. So she's in the bathroom. There's a full hallway full of just animals, drunk animals waiting to get their hand jobs. She goes in with the first John and then decides, I guess, that she has made some bad decisions in her life and she does not want to continue. So she comes out and then has to run down a gauntlet of just awful 20 to 25-year-old men that were waiting to get their hand.
That's where it cuts off. And I don't know. I don't know if that wrapped up better than it left off, but Jesus Christ.
Whoa, that was an up and down. Well, no, I guess just a down story.
Just up and then down.
Yeah.
It kept going down.
It was like a roller coaster. It built up and then it just plummeted.
Very interesting that you met a base level cooter. Like just
that man sounds ridiculous.
Yes, I'm very interested in him.
I'm particularly sad about filling up the Gatorade. It's like I'm sure they had some cups or solo cups or something at a bachelor party.
I'm still trying to figure out what an afro mullet is.
It's like real
tight
curls on the top, and then it just cascades
and then just
down
like
your
straight.
neck.
What?
Oh yeah. That's the look. Pencil thin mustache.
It's kind of like
John Waters mustache with that.
Damn.
What?
Damn.
What?
That's a character. That's a character.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that dude in my house.
Damn, boy.
Also, the rest of that story was a huge bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is depressing, and
whoa.
I hope that young lady is doing well somewhere.
That's why we don't hire strippers for our bachelor parties.
Dude, yeah. We just have
honestly, yes, that is. It's like,
fun.
Like that is not my shit.
I'm sure it makes for an unforgettable night, but not necessarily an enjoyable one.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like, so you might want to forget.
You might want to. Yeah. Regardless, thanks for calling in, Chris. Thanks for sharing your story, man. Hope you're doing well. Next up, we're gonna hear from Leslie. Let's give it a whirl.
Hey guys, this is Leslie over here in Bend, Oregon, home of the last Blockbuster. I've never been in it, but I've been to the Papa Murphy's Pizza right next door to it. Anyway, so calling to say hey to you guys and listening loyally, and I love your podcast. So I'm just getting back on let's see, there's two things I was going to say. One thing about, my husband's not into horror, which really sucks, but I tried to get him into it. My big mistake was one of the first ones we watched was The Lighthouse, which was super strange, and I didn't really care for it, and he really didn't care for it. So I'm kind of back at square one now, working on that. But and let's see, then your friend, that one gal that called in was talking about taking care of her friend's diabetic cat. And my daughter had a diabetic cat, and I had given her shots before and everything, and my daughter and her boyfriend went to the horror nights a couple of years ago down in California and left the cat with me. I came into Portland to babysit the cat, and the cat got really sick and went to the vet and died. And it was terrible. It was terrible because I was with her, and it was awful. Anyway, yeah, it was bad. But anyhow, so happy spooky season, you guys. All right, talk to you later.
And happy spooky season.
Soldier's worst nightmare.
Dude, seriously.
Yeah, you literally.
Seriously, that would be it. Or one of them.
That's really sad. That's really sad. Man, we gotta do the anti-bummer prompt this week.
I will. Going back though to Chris's story, I will say you told that story really well, my guy.
Yeah,
I was like waiting for it. Yeah, good job.
I'll tell you what, man. I didn't spend a lot of time in Bend. I mostly just passed through and stopped at the Blockbuster for like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
and then kept going. Had a schedule to keep, but I love that part of the country. So good on you. That's a fucking God, that's a beautiful place.
Mm.
So you got that going anyway. Dead cat or not.
Yeah, shit happens. I mean, that's
and
tough.
thank you for the nice words too.
Yeah, especially when you know it's a sick cat, but still, like having that responsibility is, it's tough. It's tough.
You never want to be the face of somebody's pet dying. Like that's just it's a horrifying position to find yourself in. And I'm sure, like, you know, it's I'm sure this story wouldn't be told if it ended poorly interpersonally, but it's just a real sad thing.
Too, I would just like carry that with me too long.
Yeah.
Way too long. I just feel so bad for so long.
There's only so much you can do, but it's regardless of the logistical realities of the situation, you would I would hang on to that shit too.
Oof. So nope, not taking care of your pets, guys. I don't care what you
I'm
Thank
sure
you for calling and
fine.
those nice words.
I'm sure Leslie is doing just fine. You guys are not really helping this situation.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Leslie, it wasn't your fault.
You were doing your friend a solid. You did everything you could, and I'm sure everybody realizes that. And thank you so much for calling in and sharing your story. Hope you're doing well. Sorry, my co-hosts are just like, Jesus Christ.
Who would do such a thing? What monster? Oh,
that is not the implication intended. No. We're just talking about how soft we both are. We just soft. That's
Softy
boys.
We're just soft boys.
Bob, you have set yourself
pillowy
up for
soft.
so many clips today.
Oh shit! Everything I do needs to be recorded. You know, so that I can be blackmailed with it later. Leslie, thank you for calling.
Plenty of material for that.
Hope you're doing well.
We're all fucked on that regard.
Happy spooky season. Glad you're enjoying the show. We got one more voicemail here. We're gonna hear from our boy Hugh. And actually, this is a good time to remind everybody here. So we're only if you do call in and leave a voicemail, there is a 3-minute limit, and then you're just automatically cut off. We don't really have control of that, and it's a nice way to limit the voicemail length though, and we're guaranteed that if you call in, you get one voicemail, and if you get cut off, call back in. We got to like limit these somehow. So we're giving everybody one. So our boy Hugh did call in twice. Hugh, we're only playing your first one. But I feel like we haven't said that in quite a while. So that's not on anybody but us. Just a friendly reminder that you do have a 3-minute limit on these. So
we fought Bob on this, but you can't fight City
Oh
Hall.
yeah, for sure. That's how it went
Iron Fist and Bob, per usual.
Hugh called in last week, and he is returning again this week. Let's hear what Hugh
big
has
hit
to
on
say.
the Slack.
Yeah,
Hugh was
a
huge hit on the Slack channel.
Killing
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Hugh again. I called last week, the new guide to horror. And you guys were curious on how I found the podcast. I got the podcast name off the back of a box of cereal I bought. I think they were called Sugar Yabos. The cereal's pretty good. I'd give it a 4.5 stars, and then of course you got to give it a half star for the Yabos, so that makes it a 5. So yeah, they're pretty good. No, really, I just came across listening on podcasts. They had some horror shows, and I thought, I'm not much into horror, so I thought I'd listen to a couple just to see. And the first few I tried listening to, first guy thought he was the funniest guy in the room, and he had to prove it every time he talked about something. And then the second podcast I listened to, they were they had to show that they were the smartest people in the room. Didn't enjoy those two, so I gave it a third shot, got onto you guys. You guys have the right mixture of humor, and you know what you're talking about, and your segments and everything of what you've been watching, and the Rotten Tomatoes segments, and I enjoy it all. What really sold it was, I don't remember what movie you guys were doing, but at the end of it, where you give your ratings, old Soju was, he was so deflated, he just hated the movie, and he went on a rant about there was no redeeming qualities. The actors weren't any good. The dialogue wasn't any good. The cinematography was terrible and everything. And then he just got to the end and said, "This is just a dog shit movie." So that kind of sold it. Anyway, had to hang around the house on Friday. So I thought, oh, I'm going to get into more of the heavier horror. So I looked up a list of the scariest movies. So I watched 4 movies. I watched the original Halloween, The Conjuring, The Witch, or The Beach, whichever way you want to go with it, and Hereditary. Holy Mother of God. I may have jumped into the deep end of the horror pool there. I did enjoy them, though, but it was quite a ride. You guys last week's show just about turned me off to horror. We started talking about drumsticks.
Well, that's it. We'll never know. I think he might have been talking about drumsticks in the ass, which is a frequent refrain.
That's a reference to
show.
our Jason X episode. Ooh.
Yeah,
reference to Gigi Allen.
Gigi
Allen has been. I love that Hugh just he broke down the story of horror podcast in the way of Goldilocks. Like, nope, too smart, nope, too funny. I'll settle for straight.
Don't worry, buddy. There's nothing smart or funny about this show.
Yeah.
Just Justin shitting all over movies, and that locked him down.
Buddy, you got to be more negative somehow.
What a legend Hugh is. Holy shit. Dude, that Yabos reference, that's like from like 2018 or some shit. Those
18,
sugary
19,
yachts, dude.
yeah,
and he set it up per watch the behind the scenes. We were like waiting for it. Like the way he was like on the backs of cereal. Me and Randy were like, we were like waiting, like, what cereal?
Is this man out of his mind?
Well, I also was like, are we on some cereal? Like, I was waiting for it. He set me up so good.
I'm on a Wheaties box, but not you guys.
And then his like positive, like, you know what really sold me on you guys? Me just shitting. I don't even know what movie I would be talking about.
I mean,
any number of them.
There's a few that fit that description from your perspective, I think.
Ooh.
That's fucking hilarious. And also, something I wanted to say to Leslie that I completely forgot about. Your husband's not super into horror because you started with The Lighthouse. I do want to recommend that if you want to get him back in the fold, start with something like Beetlejuice and start down that rabbit hole. Go very, very accessible. And I'll bet you, like, he's not even going to recognize Beetlejuice as a horror movie. And a lot of people don't. But, like, that is a horror adjacent enough to where I think you could say, like, well, this one, whatever, you go to the next tier down, next tier.
Tim Burton's a good starting place, man. It's very accessible for a lot of people. Edward Scissorhands, Mars Attacks.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good starting place. Yeah. Good call.
I actually was going to bring up too. I'm glad you brought that back up because I had the thought and we just got lost in our conversation. But like a grown. Sometimes we talked about getting kids into horror, and we've also recommended kind of Burton and going that way. But I think for like a grown adult who might be interested somewhat in film, but not specifically horror, I think it's a great way to start off with the horror comedies. To introduce that flavor of horror, like Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead. Get him laughing, but in that realm of horror. And then there's some really good horror comedies out there. Throw a couple of those on for a little bit, and then kind of test the waters with something. Actually, maybe a little.
Shaun is a great call because then you have the benefit of being like, well, if you want to understand this reference or that reference, we could watch some Romero movies or whatever else.
Yeah. So that would be my way to convince an adult to kind of get.
Well, that's a good prompt actually for next week if we want to use that. Like if you were to introduce a friend of yours who had never touched horror, was afraid to touch horror, where would your starting point be? How would you ease an adult person into horror? What would be your first say 1 to 3 movies?
If it sounds like Hugh is doing that for himself right now, and he jumped into the deep motherfucking end, son. Some like that quadruple feature in one night, The Witch, Hereditary, like that's heavy watching, dude. I don't even know if I do that as a double feature.
I was terrified that he was going to go even darker than that. I was like, if you look for the scariest movies, there's some lists out there that are
that's not scary, but
yeah, it's just gross.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't watch that, anybody. Just nobody.
Yeah, that's not recommended.
Yeah,
we need to not mention that every podcast, every episode.
Right.
Don't watch.
And as always, fuck a Serbian film.
There you go.
See you next week.
Damn. Thanks for calling in again. You know, it's good to hear from you, man, and it's cool to see that like you're broadening your horror horizons and still enjoying it. That's awesome, man. Especially with heavy hitters.
Legend, dude. Thanks for your voicemails. That shit's cracking me up.
Good shit. Yeah. Again, if you guys would like to call in and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. The boys were asking if you were going to get an adult into horror, what movies would you choose to do so? And I have another question I want to throw out there. That
Save
sort
it
of goes
for next
hand
week. I'm just kidding.
No, I want to ask now. It goes hand in hand with Hell House LLC. So if anybody listening out there has worked in a haunt, whether it be like a home haunt, like mom and pop kind of situation, or for something a little bigger than that, all the way up to like Halloween Horror Nights, just across the board. If you've ever worked in a haunt, call in and like share your experiences with it. If you've got any stories or, you know, positives, negatives, just anything you want to share about that experience, I would fucking love to hear that for real. Yeah, call in and let us know. That's going to do it for us this week at Straight Chilling. We're going to be back next week with a brand new show as always. We're going to be jumping into another Patreon pick. This one was chosen by Jacqueline, and the movie is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
What?
No! Oh God!
Well, let's round out.
We get to finish the franchise. Thank God.
We're gonna finish the franchise with a big wet fart.
We get to finish it. Thank God.
I have not seen this movie. And I have prejudged it to shit, and I'm going to go in. I'm going to go clean slate with Mr. Zombie. I'm going in clean slate. I'm going to give him a fair shake.
This is going to be the best conversation we've ever had.
Fair, even.
What's his dick's gonna love this because you're gonna show it.
Also, since Bob is running the U pick, you know, we might be opening up an internal investigation just to make sure that everything is, you know, clean across the slate. This was Bob's lost pick that lost the poll pick last month. Surprisingly, he gets covered this month. Wow, what a weird coincidence! Yes. What a crazy surprise!
That's just Jacqueline, and I'm pretending to be a person
Bob,
that's like very.
Bob just held the last.
Bob's gone to great lengths. He started a podcast with a female voice. Started teaching children at a school just to have stories.
Bob collaborated. He just held on to that last one.
I have a
Jacqueline,
full family.
Slide in here.
A husband and several children.
I have a
several illegits just to support this franchise closing episode.
Just so we could cover the whole franchise.
I will stop at nothing. So watch Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 if you so dare, and get ready for next week's show. Until then, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. You can follow us on Twitter at str8_chilling, on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. You can send an email to our website, straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com. If you would like to join in on the daily Slack channel conversations, just reach out, hit us up on one of those social media outlets, and I'll send you a link so you can join in on our Slack channel. We talk about horror movies, of course, but things start really popping off around spooky season. You know, we share like recipes, we talk about video games, whatever's going on in the news, just general conversations, life stuff. It's awesome. It's good shit. And until next week, that's all we got. Everybody, please keep chilling.
We got a winner.